Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, and professional golf, BetOnline remains the number one source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline's casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Are you looking for a new job or want a career change? Look no further than Monster.com. Need a little help standing out? Our expert resume writing services will make sure you shine. Want to brush up on your interview skills? Engage with our AI interview prep tool. Want some advice on negotiating your new salary? Visit our salary tools and extensive library of career advice articles, and you'll have all the tips and tricks you'll need to succeed. Visit Monster.com today and take the first step towards your career. Monster.com. Find your right job fit.
Welcome to Off Brand.
Hi, welcome to Off Brand with John and Marissa. I'm John.
I'm Marissa.
Episode 1.
Unbelievable. All the haters thought we couldn't make it.
What?
That person who left us a one-star review.
1 or 2 one-star reviews in the very beginning where someone was like, I did not learn how to brand my company from this podcast. 1 star.
I'm a marketing student at university, and why are they blathering on about Taylor Swift?
Though I know you and I see this differently. We did just very recently get a review that was like, these guys aren't necessarily brand experts for like creating a brand, but they're funny. And
I think they said they're absolutely not leaders in the brand industry, and I took great offense to that.
I was like, yeah, he's right. And then he was like, I still listen to every episode.
Well, you know who's going to get the last laugh when you and me are sitting between Mr. Wonderful and Lori? What'd you just pull out of your mouth?
A whole hair. I had a whole hair in I'm starting off weak.
People are paying for this.
You guys are paying to see, and I think we're doing video on this. I don't know if you can see this. I pulled a whole, I don't know whose it is. It's gray, so I don't know where this one came from.
Well, we know you're a natural blonde.
Probably a cat.
You're our regular Marilyn Monroe.
Okay, so we have teased this. We have talked about it. We have met about it.
There's been a lot of foreplay.
We've done, yes, we have fingered, we can be dirty in this too. So here's what the show is not going to be. There are 0 research pages. Not 1, not 8, not 7, not 14, none. No research is done in this at all.
Wow.
There are no clip clops in this.
Okay.
There are no beeping out fucking swear words in this. I don't think, right? We can just say fuck all we want.
Hey, speaking of, let's reveal.
What?
John had
Sex?
crabs.
Oh, boy, twice. 2 times. I will say, it's quite embarrassing to talk about. You know,
vulnerability is your power. Like, that's the thing. Like, Brene Brown talks about all the time. Like, vulnerability, you think, like, oh, that's weak. I should hide that. Having crabs twice is actually your strength.
Oh, man. It's like that first time you get crabs, you're like, oh, this might not be what I think it is, but I think this could be crabs. And then the second time you get crabs, you're like, fuck, this is crabs again. Like,
does it look like a crustacean?
If you let it go long enough, it's just like you have like 3 crab beanie babies stuck in your pubes.
Mr. Pinchers?
No, here, let's talk about it. I was hoping this whole episode we're just going to go this episode crabs. No, it just starts off with like you get a little itchy itch.
Sure.
And like you put that off. You're like, okay, maybe like something's a little
maybe
off.
your new body wash.
2 months in,
whatever.
man, you're like clawing.
Months?
No. But
Jesus.
seriously, you let it go because you're like, I mean, I could tell you, no, I won't. But it's not
they're
fun.
paying. They're paying.
No.
Somebody paid $8. Somebody paid $187 a month. Sidebar, you may have noticed there is John's storage unit tier. You could pay for a month of John's storage unit. So there could be somebody listening here who paid $187 to hear your story.
Okay, well,
about
then
crabs.
This story only goes out to them.
Perfect.
So
if you didn't pay $187, please skip forward 30 seconds, like 2 times.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty conservative sexually now, but when I was younger, I had fun. But I was also still quite safe. But crabs is just something you can just get.
Sure.
Like, I mean, you get close enough. I've heard of them pinging off and like jumping from one body to another.
You could get crabs on the subway.
Someone told me that someone got crabs from a concert because they were like in the front row and like the crabby little singer like was like
was it Lenny Kravitz when his pants busted open and his penis popped out?
It wasn't. Oh,
I'm free. Landing on somebody's head. Front row.
Can I just let's just side note on Lenny Kravitz really quick. I saw him once at like a festival.
Whoa.
And like he was like everyone was like having a good time, but I guess it was like a small little fight like up in the front, and he stopped the show and was like, "Hey guys, man, come on. There's no fighting at my shows. We got to let love rule." And then started singing Let Love Rule, and I was like, "Bro, that was like so cheesy to get in to like your song." It was
Do you think the fight was planned as the perfect tee
he
up?
probably had an assistant like to your left. There's two people that are kind of mad at each other. But crabs. Oh, yeah. So all I was going to say, so the second time I had crabs, I let it go longer than I probably should have.
Okay.
And so the crabs started to explore my...
You should tell this story at a middle school, because I think this is really good, like...
Oh, let's put out a
tale.
disclaimer. We have a lot of kids that listen to this. Oh, maybe not the
Not
Patreon.
the Patreon.
If they are, just crabs. Just tell them it's like what we eat.
Kids don't have money.
Kids don't have money. Now I think they do. Tooth Fairy, you get what, like $5, $10?
Yeah, $500 a tooth.
So I was at the gym, the YMCA, and I was working out, and I had been itchy, and I had just finished my cardio, and I'm sitting on a bench. And this is the second time, so I knew what they look like. And I was like resting, and I looked down, and on my arm, I saw a crab.
It's visible with the naked eye.
Like my heart's racing right now. This is 20 years ago. And I was like, because it's like you're kind of in denial until you see it. You're like, maybe it's not that.
Yeah.
And then and this was the Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. We were about to have a 4-day weekend. Oof. You're looking forward to it. You've been working hard. And I had to go back to work. I used to work out at like my lunch break and go back to work. I picked it up.
Did the invitation for your Thanksgiving dinner say no crabs allowed?
Under the list of things people are bringing, it's like Mom's bringing the stuffing, Carrie's bringing the eggplant parm because she's vegetarian, John's bringing crabs. I beelined it to Target. I had to get like crab shampoo.
They sell crab shampoo?
Well, you use that lice shampoo.
Did you go to the seafood section and you said, what do you wash the crabs with?
I went to one of those places where they used to have the aquarium where you pick your own lobster or crab.
Yes.
Like, I'll have that one, and then I just point to my thing.
I want that one's beauty regimen. What do you bathe in that one? Is it so it's different from lice on your head?
It is a crab.
Oh, okay.
It is a crab.
They should start calling it crabs when kids get it. Oh, bad news. There's a crab outbreak at your preschool.
Well, no, that is lice. It's a different thing. Like, this looks like a teeny weeny tiny little crab.
Oh.
This isn't... I had all these notes about how we were going to start this show. It was like, okay, so we're finally... You wanted to hear more about us? Well, I guess they are.
They did. And you know what? We had teased it previously. Some super sleuth listeners figured out what it was.
It didn't have to be a super sleuth. Basically, and this is so funny, Alistair, so having crabs became a running joke in our last episode, the Target episode. So we beeped out, Alistair beeped out every time we said crabs, and he forgot, because we didn't say it normally. I said something like at the very end.
Al doesn't even eat crab.
Al probably doesn't even eat crabs, and he forgot to beep that one out. And someone wrote us and was like, "Did you mean to do that?" And I was like, "No, we didn't." But it ended up making it so much funnier to hide it the whole show. So that's a little behind the scenes trivia that the cheapos who aren't paying $187 a month won't ever find out.
Yeah, you keep that secret to yourself.
Yeah.
So, John, this is our first Patreon. We got big thoughts. We got big plans. What you want to get into?
You know, how I thought we would start this one.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you guys, this is a journey. This is a journey for us. This is a journey for you. We don't know exactly where this is taking us. And I hope you're not like, you better because we're paying. I promise you it'll be a fun ride regardless.
For sure. And I think part of the charm of Off-Brand, we'll say, is that this is a little more raw. We're raw dogging it here. We don't have our script in front of us. We'll have planned little bits and segments and stuff like that. But you're getting you're going to get to see a side of us you may realize Hey, you don't want to see. Unsubscribe.
If you had told me when we started, so we just did, I don't know, our 80th something episode of On Brand. If you had told us when we started that, at some point people are going to want to hear a whole nother podcast and learn just more about you guys, I'd be like, you're insane.
They want 4 minutes on crabs. You'd be shocked.
I'm like, well, okay, that's fine, but I'm definitely not going to say anything embarrassing. I'm not going to tell them about like my crabs or like anything like that.
Give the people what they want. We're showmen once and for all. So we want to involve you guys. So if you have a thought about a main episode we did, like maybe you worked at Cracker Barrel, you have a fun story you want to share, you write that to us and we'll read it, your note on Off Brand, and we can go back and forth. We can answer questions. We want this to really be like a way to further engage with all the freaks and make this is your show. You're a part of it every step of the way.
Yeah, and we get that so much after a main episode. People that write us and tell us their experience. For Target, we've gotten so many. I did not know we had so many listeners. Sorry, I have to. Oh, see, you don't even have to cut that out. I drink too much soda during the record. I burp a lot. So a lot of times I'll be talking about I got to burp.
Hold for burp.
And then I lean over so I don't do it in the mic and I burp. I didn't know we had so many Canadian listeners, and so many people have written us to tell us the story of Target's Canadian failure.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people who are like, you guys didn't mention this or whatever. I love that we can now revisit that stuff in a forum like this, but we also don't want to make it like overly brand heavy. We want to like test out new collabs. We want to go on field trips, kind of like we did in the beginning of the pod. And like,
we'll taste test stuff. We'll talk about pop culture, celebrity, music,
answer all
TV.
your questions. Any questions you have, shoot them to us. We're going to figure out a way to make that easy so we can have them all in one place, but so you can ask us any questions you want.
We're going to have a website with or a phone number, I don't know for sure, with a hotline where you can call and we can get your audio clips.
Definitely want a phone number. I want to hear what these freaks
freak
sound
line.
Like in my head, I'll be like, oh, I bet he has such a cool voice. And he's like, I was wondering, how do you think you'll get crabs again? Honestly, it's not off the table.
It's not off the table.
Nothing's off the table. So I thought episode 1, I'm sure more than these two people asked this question, but it seemed like a very appropriate question. Was that me?
What was that?
You don't even have, it doesn't matter. There was a beep. It's going to stay in. We don't know what it was.
It's raw.
Raw, you guys. We're raw. Raw. That's how you get crabs. So we had Megan Murph and Taryn Potter both ask a very simple question that seems like a great jumping off point.
Great.
How did we meet?
Oh.
So I got to say, Marissa and we get an embarrassing amount of comments from people who are like, we just love your friendship. You guys clearly love each other so much. It's like very special, blah, blah. And we look at each other, we're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, it doesn't seem like we don't see.
We're not gazing into each other's eyes all day long, but we do have a friendship that goes back. You know how like we both have that thing where we think like 1990 was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
So I've been saying our friendship. When did we meet? It was 2007. Which is how many? Is that 17 years ago? 17 years ago. And if I had just blurted out, I probably would have said like 10 years. It's been 17 years, which feels like a really long time. And John and I met because we were both on an improv comedy team at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater here in Los Angeles, where we both did comedy. I was more of an improv gal. John was more of a sketch gal. But we crossed paths on this improv team. And I would say it was love at first sight.
See, I don't even really remember it. Like, I was actually going to pull it back a little more from that just to give them even more context. Like, what? Because I don't think I know this about you.
Yeah.
What got you to UCB?
Well, after high school, I moved to Los Angeles. I'm not college educated. No one in my family brought it up. So I didn't say anything. I'm
a college dropout. So.
But still, you went. Like, did you take SATs or anything? ACTs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like nobody brought it up. I had some friends who they were like, junior year of high school, they were like, oh, I'm doing SAT prep. I was like, oh, okay, why? Or like they start to kind of fill out applications like, oh, I got into UCLA. I'm like, okay. Good for you. No one in my family mentioned
at hot dog on a stick and you're putting on your uniform.
I mean, really, I told you I was recruited to work a hot dog on a stick at the age of 14.
Of course you were. Look at those golden locks.
And no one in my family brought it up. I don't come from college. My parents are not college educated. They're casino folk. They met working in a casino. My dad was a poker blackjack dealer. My mom was a cocktail waitress. As I mentioned, she cleaned hotel rooms. We're real salt of the earth folks.
I mean, should we take a divot really quick and talk about the two things both of your parents are known for? Or when I first met you,
yes.
These were two stories that I was like, what are you talking about?
My dad, off the record, invented the Walkman. And my mom, off the record, invented the mocha. So this is what we are. We're not traditionally educated.
And can I just say, just for what I believe both of those inventions were, is your dad carried a radio around in a backpack and was like, this is what will become the Walkman. Uh-huh. And your mom put a Hershey bar in her coffee and was like, this is a mocha.
You're not far off. Though my dad there was a guy who lived in my dad's apartment building. His name was Wolfgang, and he was kind of an eccentric German engineering guy. And he worked with my dad. See, we have an entrepreneurial, we have an inventor's spirit. And I think that lives on in me. Mm-hmm. He collaborated with Wolfgang to come up with a Walkman that could be worn it was like a radio, maybe a tape player that could be worn as a backpack with headphones. And I think maybe the headphones, I don't know what made it unique. I don't know. It was like in the 70s, it was pre-Sony Walkman because he wanted to listen to music while he was skiing.
Oh, okay.
And
this is giving me, and this is such an old reference, it's giving me Fred Flintstone. Like your dad put like a record player on his back and like a pelican is the needle and the pelican's like, it's a living.
That might have been what it was. And that actually reminds me, I think Wolfgang had at one point the prototype. I'll have to track it down. I'll have to track down Wolfgang. I would give anything to have that in my home. And then later, like a few years, everyone, he's wearing that while he's skiing. Everyone's like, whoa, groovy. It was the 70s. Everyone thinks it's so cool. And then a few years later, interesting, Sony comes out with their little gizmo. Okay. No, and my mom will say, she's like, well, it's not the person who has the idea. It's the person who like goes through with it to try to get it made. So my family,
as she's dipping her Hershey bar in her coffee.
I'm not sure how she could have monetized a mocha, but that is what she says. She was the first person to combine chocolate and coffee. She would put a packet, if there wasn't like creamer available, or she liked her coffee not black, she would get a packet of hot cocoa, Swiss Miss hot cocoa, and stir that into her coffee. And she said, no, their jaws were on the floor. They'd never seen anything like it. Never. And this is like 60s.
They're high as a kite. They're on Goofballs in the 70s.
They were high as a kite on all kinds of, sit down with Grandma Bobo and have her tell you a tale about the parties back in the day. She was sipping on a mocha. And, canonically in my family, I'm a descendant of inventors.
You are an heiress.
I'm an heiress.
I don't know if I've ever shared with you. I'm sure I have. When I was a very young kid, I invented something that no one else ever did, and I don't think it ever even came to be, which was the coffee bag.
Oh.
Because I saw a commercial. We were watching TV, and they had like Lipton tea bags on. I'm like, Mom, Dad, if we can find a convenient way to make tea, why don't we just have coffee bags too? I still think it's a good idea. I think it ended up becoming the Keurig.
It does make so much sense. Why is it not like mainstream?
And they may have. I feel like that might have been like what Senka was, or one of those weird coffees. I'm sure some freak is going to send me an ad from a 1970s product like coffee bags.
Coffee bags. But it is genius. It is genius. And I think that's kind of, you and I both we're masters in branding. For some reason, that person who left that podcast review doesn't see
Norwegian
it, but
man.
You and I both see it. So anyway, long story short, after high school, instead of going to college, I moved up to Los Angeles. I started taking improv classes at the Groundlings and then later at the UCB Theater, where I would just, 11 p.m., you're getting up in front of 4 people and, doing your little stories and having a great time.
Did you graduate Groundlings?
I can't remember. I did like level 4 or whatever.
Babe,
it was.
You would remember if you graduated.
Sure.
You don't remember if you were main stage of the Groundlings?
Was I on SNL? I can't remember. The ice skaters were outside.
Did I have an iconic character like Pee Wee? I don't remember. Just like you. Oh, did you just say that? Okay.
I didn't make it into the main stage. I was not up there with Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry.
Well, that was the thing with the Groundlings. That's why I never went that route.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that it was competitive. It was a very long process. Like you would go for a year and then you would have to like wait to get into the next level and
exactly
all of these things.
So you would have like that. I think that's actually what happened. I probably graduated as many classes as whatever, and they were very expensive, but it's cheaper than college, according to my parents.
Everyone else is like, I'm a doctor. I finally graduated UCLA.
I'm like, I may be a graduate of Groundlings. I'm not so sure. But met a lot of great people. But then in between waiting for a new class to start, I went to the UCB theater, which is, Amy Poehler. That was like the improv theater. I loved Amy Poehler, and that was her theater that she started with a few other people. And
UCB kind of stomped into LA around 2004. We had a bunch of established places already. We had the West Coast branch of Second City, which I went through. We had Improv Olympic, and we had the Ground Lanes. And then out of nowhere, UCB kind of showed up, this dinky little theater on Franklin Avenue. It sat like 100 people.
It was very cool. It's like a black box alternative comedy. So if Groundlings was kind of like mainstream, this is kind of like the path to get on Saturday Night Live. UCB was like the seedy, weird, like older brother.
Road to nowhere.
It's the road to podcasting as well. If you're a Doughboys listener, which a lot of us, our listeners are, then you've heard some UCB lore from Mitch and Weiger also. But it was a very fun place, and I did that like through basically all my 20s, and I was on a regular team there and performed. But it was a very fun thing to do, and through that I ended up becoming a TV writer, and I did that until I became a mom, the most important job of all.
Okay, so I know that you becoming a television writer, and you didn't mention that you had a book also. We'll get to those things. So let me get up to where you are. So
sure.
I moved to LA wanting to work in film. I just thought it was the coolest thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Very cliff noted version. I got a job on low budget movies. I worked in props. Then I worked in set decoration. Then I wanted to get into TV. I got into TV as a researcher. That's what eventually led to me getting into documentaries as a researcher and getting the Emmy and all of that stuff. And that we'll talk about, I'm sure, the Emmy at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll talk about the Emmy at some point.
You talk about your kids, I talk about mine. But there was a part of me that really wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a sitcom actor so bad. So I came out here. I did end up writing a sitcom and all this stuff, but I was always too scared to audition. I didn't like that process. I felt like I just had to create my own thing.
It's very scary.
And then someone was like, you should try improv. So, and I was terrified. And I asked my boss at the time, I was like, listen, I want to do Second City, but I'd have to leave work a little early, blah, blah. He's like, I support whatever your dream is. Go do it.
Oh, that's great.
We'll cover you. So I went through Second City, and I went through the whole thing.
Oh.
And it was great. It was, I don't know. It definitely got me a lot more comfortable. I was always a little torn with improv itself. I felt like sometimes I could do great, and sometimes it was so bad. I was so humiliated by it. I'm not great at letting it be the disposable thing that it's supposed to be. Like if I did bad, I would lay in bed at home and contemplate my life.
A bad improv show will shave 8 months off your life.
God, when
with
you're
stress.
just
terrible.
You see it from the audience's point of view.
You see their eyes that are looking at you like, oh God, make it stop. And then you're like, I don't want to be doing this either.
God, I think there was one I did where I used to do a Bjork impersonation, and there was one where I did it and it fell flat. And then after the show, someone was like, did you know Kim Fields was in the audience? And I was like, Kim Fields from Facts of Life? My dream to be on a sitcom? That was one of the best ones ever. Watch me pretend to be Bjork. Good Lord, what is this town? So I went through Second City, and then I got into UCB just to keep doing stuff. And the good thing about UCB was you could go for free if you worked for them. If you did tickets, or I think I did merch, so I got my classes for free. And then I finished there. And then my friend Kulop, you guys had started this group, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then my friend Kulop was like, hey, we've started this group. We could use one more person. Are you interested? And that's how I got into your existing group.
That's right. Yeah. Kulop from Add to Cart.
Yeah.
If anyone listens to that podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was mid to 2007-ish. And we performed, very rarely, but I think that John is the kind of person where
here it comes.
Everybody wants to be his best friend.
Oh, that's not, I thought it was something
And
else.
somehow I hooked John in on a standing Friday night appointment to hang out with me.
If you remember, though, that took years.
Exactly.
Because I don't think we started doing, so if you don't know, we get together, literally, Alistair, Marissa, her husband David, and it used to be our friend Matt, who we have lost since then, would get together every Friday, I think starting in about 2012.
No, before
11?
that. No, way before that.
9/11?
No, David and I got married in 2013, so it must have been 2009.
10? No. Al, when did you move back from?
I moved here in 2010.
Yeah, so it was after
But
that.
it was before that, I thought.
Oh, we were hanging out before Alistair.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because then Alistair showed up, and I was like, who's this new guy eating oatmeal all the time?
And remember, you might not
And he
remember
had a Cadillac. He had a big Cadillac,
No,
right?
it was
Or a Lincoln.
a Jaguar.
A Jaguar. Who's this Jaguar driving fool?
Alistair slept on our couch in our little tiny house, and we had our cat box in the living room. And for some reason, it never occurred to us that we should move the cat box until after Alistair moved out and got his own place. We were like, oh, we have the perfect place for the cat box, not in the living room, 3 feet away from Alistair's head while he sleeps. And every morning when our kitty would use the cat box, we had like one of those tall, those like tall IKEA lamps that everyone had that was like all made of like paper, but it was really tall.
God, I hated those.
Everyone had those. We had one too. You know how like when a cat uses a cat box, they just kind of like, they try to cover it up with like the wall. So she would try to use the lamp. She would like pot the lamp. It would be like, and it would wake Al up every morning. Do you remember that, Al?
Oh, yes.
Little Monet.
Little Monet. And then after Al got his own place, we were like, why did we have it in the living room? The hallway's perfect.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so when we roped John in somehow after years
I feel like you
of
ask me
begging.
like all the time, like, hey, why don't we hang out Friday? And I'm like, nah, I'm good. And then one Friday, I had nothing to do, and I'm sure the weather was nice, because whenever the weather's nice, I itch to like get out.
The stars have to align.
They
if you're
really
competing with John's bed, you better be bringing something fucking fantastic to the table. I have to be like, I just baked like a chocolate pudding pie. It's a 74-degree day. The wind is just right.
This was pre-bed, John. I feel like COVID and the last few years have made me bed, John. I was still more of an active man at the time.
Okay, sure.
This was couch TV, John.
Crab John.
And then I don't even think I told you I was coming over. One Friday, I was like, I guess I'll go hang out with Marissa. And I came over, and the rest is history. Like, we just started hanging out truly every Friday night. If somebody has like, oh, I have a wedding, or obviously like someone's out of town, that we make exceptions for that. But there's never like a time where it's like, are we hanging out tonight? You don't even have to text about it. It's like, it's happening. And that has been going on for over 10 years. And you know what? Here, I'm going to give you an off-brand exclusive that even Marissa doesn't even know.
Oh my gosh.
And maybe I shouldn't tell you this.
Oh, no.
When we first started hanging out, you didn't always make dinner, but you would sometimes make dinner. I did not like your cooking at all. Almost everything you made, I was like,
what was it? What did I make?
I don't know. I just
remember.
don't feel like you were. The thing is, she is such a good cook now.
Oh, thank you.
Everything she makes is
you know
so
what?
good.
We were vegan for a little bit.
That was it.
Certainly did not help.
And I was like,
oh, that's so funny. I wonder I don't even remember
and
what
I don't
cooked
remember when
back
it
then.
changed, but then one day I was like, I had something you made and it was so good. And now, like, that seems like such a million years
That
ago,
is
because I
so
just think of
funny.
you as such a good cook now. Like, she experiments and she can whip
Wow.
anything together, either savory and dessert. She can do it all.
I'm so curious what it was.
But
That's
at the
so
time,
funny.
back
I'm
then, I was
so
like,
sorry.
I hate Marissa's cooking. Maybe I won't come every Friday.
God, I'm even trying to think of like one thing I made. It was a lot of
It was probably a lot of soups or probably chunky soups.
Yeah,
or,
curries.
Al
Al.
would like it.
Al, we have such a funny little thing here. Some people were like, "Is Alistair okay during the fires?" Like, I know you guys are. And I was like, "Oh, Alistair lives behind us. Like,
He lives in the guest house.
He lives in the
Marissa's
guest
home.
house, so he will often bring over a chunky soup that John snubs. He only likes smooth soups, and then John is over here every Friday. So we're kind of this like big weird family.
Yeah.
Emphasis on weird. And then it was a couple of years ago, we had talked about doing a podcast, like off and on, as I'm sure everybody does. I think
you're
that's
jumping way too far. Are you getting the podcast?
Sorry. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we both do that. We have fun in our improv class. We have a running joke for years. In 2008, we went into the Del Close Marathon in New York.
A 24-hour improv festival in New York City.
Yeah, it's like, at the time, it was a very big deal. And like anyone that was into improv would go and do that. And for some reason, we got a really good time slot, and I was so nervous for this show. Right before I walked out on stage, I peed like a shot glass full of pee in my pants. That's how scared I was. And then we go out and I get the first laugh and everything's fine.
Yeah.
But like I was a nervous performer until you're on stage and you're kind of in the groove of it.
That was very scary. And I don't know why it's like, this was the improv team that we were talking about that Kulop was on. I don't know why we got such a good slot, because there were a lot of it was like 24-hour improv show. So it'd be like, you could be 4 a.m. 20 miles away.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and some people would be
They'd be like,
there.
you just perform in LA. We'll do New York. You
There'd
had
be
no
like,
idea. Yeah.
There'd be like a few sleeping people in the audience, like typically at one of your regular time slots for a lowly group like us. But for some reason we were at like 8 p.m. in the main theater, the UCB theater in New York.
And that's why I was so scared, because there's like all these icons you see. And Cool Up was not in our group at this point.
Oh, she wasn't?
She bailed pretty early.
Oh.
It was one of those things. She's like, come join us. And I got there. She's like, I'm out. And then she just wasn't. She'd left to do other things. I don't think she wasn't in our New York show. But we did pretty well in our head. Now 16 years later, we're like, that show killed. But we went out afterwards, and I think Marissa and I got recognized by someone like at the grocery store next door
to the theater.
So like, you just in that show, that was so funny. And so we've ridden that joke for years. Like, it was kind of like what we do with Titanic on the main show, where we kind of base everything in our life's timeline on 1912.
Anytime the year 2008 comes up, we always say, "Oh, 2008." Well, you remember?
Okay, so that's 3 years after we killed it in New York. So
that was the trip where I walked by and saw you eating barbecue all by yourself in a restaurant.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time. Here's the thing about me: I'm a lone wolf. Like, I'm so comfortable doing anything by myself. And you know, when you're on.
Leave it in, Al. Leave it in. We're raw.
Roll a tape on the floor. You know, when you're on vacation, you're kind of a little looser with the purse strings. And I'm sure I was super poor at this time. But I was like walking around New York looking for somewhere to eat, and I stumbled upon this barbecue place. And it's I'm sure it was one of those things. It's like, if you buy like
it was like the family of 4 meal deal or something.
It was like, if you buy a pulled pork sandwich and fries and a Coke, it's $18. If you buy this meal for 4, it's $22. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. So I am sitting, I get a
window
table
booth
right by the window. And I'm sitting there. Again, my second Flintstones reference. It was like in the Flintstones where she brings out the giant like dinosaur rack of like ribs, sets it on the table, and I'm Fred Flintstone just eating this thing, and Marissa walks by the window.
Running into somebody you know in a town that like you don't live in is so funny anyway. Walking by and then seeing John through the glass, eating alone, and then looking down at his meal, I nearly fell over laughing.
You came in, I think you came in and said
hi.
I
came in and
we had
said
a lot
hi.
of fun. It was on that trip that we also learned the Gap had the best bathroom.
Yes, we've mentioned this before. Very hard to find a clean place to use the restroom in New York City.
Curious if that's still the case. But okay, so that's beside the point. So you had also, I think before this trip, you had another comedy partner, Dave, that you worked with.
Dave Horowitz, yeah. And he might have a podcast too now. Everyone does.
Everyone does. But does he have a Patreon?
Oh,
yeah, everyone does.
Everyone
so
does.
We're like 10 years late to everything. You guys had, I don't know the whole story about, I forget what you had that led to your book. Was it a blog?
Yes, this was in the time, if anybody remembers Tumblr. So Tumblr was a blogging platform that was kind of popular. This was like 2008, I think. And this was a trend of like, you know, like all these things, how something will be like the big platform at the time. Tumblr was a big platform where people were kind of getting discovered. And we had a blog about dating. It was called Deal Breaker. This is pre the 30 Rock joke, which a lot of people texted me about when 30 Rock had a Deal Breaker Liz Lemon thing.
Oh, wow.
It
runs in the family. The family tradition continues.
I know. I just need to get a patent. I haven't learned from my forefathers. We ended up turning that into a book called Deal Breaker, the definitive list of dating offenses that was sold in an Urban Outfitters.
I gotta say,
Wow.
I thought it was so cool that you had a book.
Not only that, but I got to did you come to our book reading at the Barnes & Noble at the Grove?
No, you did not. I don't know that we might not have been that close yet.
I'm sure you were invited.
100%. I'm like, couch or friend doing a reading.
So the Grove is like a giant mall. I mean, the people who are doing the readings there, I can't think of one author. John
Rice.
Grisham.
I got Anne Rice's autograph at that Barnes & Noble.
It's a very prestigious place to have a book reading.
The Kardashians have done it.
When I am telling you, there was not a single soul in the audience that I did not know. I went to Nordstrom before. I got my makeup done for it. It was terrible. I had to wash it off in the bathroom.
You knew everybody.
My mom, my dad, probably David, like literally only, it was like 10 people and I knew all of them. There were no strangers coming in off the street. It was also raining, which I was kind of using as an excuse. But I have pictures of us like, you know, at Barnes & Noble, and it's like, you know, I'm sure that they were probably like, why are they here? They're not like Kim Kardashian is scheduled for next week. Why are they here?
You're laughing about it now. Were you sad at the time? Like, what were you feeling at the time?
I think I was just so excited about the novelty of it that what could my expectation have been? Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't famous. Like, it was just kind of like, how did I get here? And the people who worked there were very nice, and they were kind of like, understood what was happening. Everyone was very nice about it. But I think it's been out of print for a while. It's available on Amazon for, I think, 1 penny. I have maybe 20 copies in my garage. If I saved, I probably have 1 copy maybe that I saved, but
That sounds like a giveaway at some point.
I'll
A signed copy of Marissa's book for sure.
Sure. It's very dated now in my memory. Like, so it was like things that are reasons why you wouldn't want to date somebody. It would be like, they have no food in their fridge. Sorry, Al. That's something that I consider to be a deal breaker. One of them was like, you have a Zune. Like, instead of like an iPod, someone uses a Zune, which is like, now it's like, what's a Zune?
That's how dated it is.
That's how dated it is.
The
It's
iPhone had only been out for 1 year at this point.
It's like a 2008
That would have been
capsule.
a reason to date someone. Definitely. If they have an iPhone.
Yes, for
Major
sure.
check mark.
Cutting edge technology.
Isn't it so crazy, this town, like looking back on it, like, and I've thought this for so long, just some of these situations that we find ourselves in that the average person in any other part of the country just doesn't. Like, you all of a sudden being at a signing at Barnes, not that
Unreal.
all of a sudden, but you work to get there, but like just that's happened.
It's like everybody who gets anything, it's like you won the lottery. So like any job you get, like just getting plucked from obscurity and getting any recognition at all. I mean, like, yeah, we got like agents. We got it's like, it just is crazy.
It's like all of a sudden you find yourself on stage winning an Emmy, and we won't talk about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point.
At a later date, sure.
That's not what this is about, but it's like, just like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
I remember feeling that when I worked on Avatar. Like, literally, I would be like, just like having a conversation alone with James Cameron about
Unreal.
research, and in the back of my head, I'm just like, how the fuck did this happen? Like, what the fuck is happening right now? Why is he asking me a question about this?
The man who drew the nude Rose in Titanic is scolding me for having my headphones on at my desk.
Just the man who made Titanic, which is now like such a big part of our own lives.
I know,
It's
Titanic, yeah, it's huge.
So crazy.
It's so crazy.
Okay, so now I want to hear the story about you becoming a television writer. That must have felt, you had worked so hard for that. I'm sure that must have felt really great to finally land that.
It was very exciting. After the book came out, I mean, you don't really get any more work from writing a book. I was working as a PA on The Soup on E, if anyone remembers that show with Joel McHale.
Of course, he had that little splash of white hair, didn't he?
He got a little. No, that's the previous host.
Oh, the other guy.
Joel McHale is the other guy.
Sorry.
He was on
All
Community.
white guys look the same to me.
I was out of work for a little bit, and I got an email out of the blue from a producer for Nick Kroll, a very popular, very funny comedian. His new pilot for Comedy Central. And this is not somebody I know personally. This is not anybody I've ever worked with. I had never been in a writer's room. I am not in that world at all. And I got basically a job offer to be a writer's assistant on the pilot. And it is if you don't work in Hollywood, it is very hard to get a job as a writer's assistant. You get to be like in the room with the funny people, coming up with the ideas, writing down all their thoughts. Now I know what the job is. I didn't at the time. Writing down all their thoughts, keeping all the notes so that you can compile a script. I get this offer out of the blue, and immediately I'm like, kind of like suspicious. David's like, don't do it. It's a scam. And I'm like, I'm going to show up and see what happens. I show up on the first day.
Wait, your only communication between getting that email was just showing up? There was no
there was no interview, there was no meeting, it was just a straight up job offer.
I can see why that would be a little suspicious, but in this town anything can happen.
In this town you have to have a say yes mentality.
Yeah,
it was
can't
like
be I have that shit. I used to always have the sham wow mentality. Like they're going to find out that
you're a sham wow. Yeah. And that was definitely heavy because I was a sham. I was being asked like, okay, start on Monday. I was like, okay, great. It's so funny. I definitely had those emails saved. And I show up on Monday. The people working there, I mean, it's just like, it's like the best of the best, the funniest people who work in comedy, like people who I really admire. And the tone I'm noticing is a little off. I show up, maybe there's a little meeting in another room as I'm kind of getting set up. I have a computer. I had to download Final Draft, the script writing software, because I did not have it.
You're like Ugly Betty when she gets her job. You're like making your desk look really pretty. You're like hanging a plant up.
I mean, it was a real fake it till you make it. Make it. Did I make it? I will.
I'm not sure you faked it.
So I'm getting it all set up, and then I hear little murmurs, and then it's kind of like, okay, we're starting the day. I'm like, okay, great. Again, I don't know how to be a writer's assistant. I've never done this before. I just open a blank Word document and I just like start typing. I don't label it. I don't save it anywhere in particular. And then like a week later, they'd be like, hey, do you have the notes from that that sketch idea, and I'm like, oh shit.
Oh
Like,
my
just
God.
everything was just so. And now you see it's like down to the letter. Like those people who do that job are like so type A, so on the ball, color coded, organized,
It's like a script
files.
supervisor in a film. Like you have to be so meticulously
You have to be so
organized.
meticulous. And I was so just like I had my desktop was covered in untitled documents.
Oh my God. I kind of feel like I don't look at your computer. I kind of feel like that's how your on brand notes are. Like
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
Different font sizes. It's just all over the place.
Like
yeah.
I asked you once, I was like, do you keep all your cold opens?
No.
Like I have one document called cold opens, and I have every one that I've ever written because I like to go back and reread them.
I delete every show in a Google Doc and I just start over in the same Google Doc.
So crazy.
I'm living in the now, baby.
You know what I learned bad about doing that in some screenwriting software? I used to do that with scripts.
Yeah.
It keeps all your character names. So I'd be like, why is it
Oh.
bringing up character names from like 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Because it's that same document.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at the time. And then at the wrap party for the show, it was a very funny show. The pilot was very funny. I'm sure it's on it was Comedy Central, so I'm sure you could find it somewhere.
Angie Tribeca.
Kroll show.
Oh, sorry. I thought he worked on that, and then he was now doing the
this
Angie
was
Tribeca.
this was how I got my first writing job. Was
I
from
thought
this
Angie
job.
Tribeca was. Oh, I
No.
forgot Kroll show. I was listening. I just thought that he had worked on that.
No, it was like a few chains removed.
Got
So
it.
this was my very first time in a writer's room as a writer's assistant. And then at the wrap party, one of the guys who I worked with, Jonathan Kreisel, who co-created Portlandia, he did so many funny things. He said, "I can't believe you got this job by accident," like as if I knew that. And I was like, "What do you mean?"
If it was a movie, it'd be one of those cool,
Like,
it pushes in on you and pulls out on the rest of the room.
Unbelievable. I was like, you have to tell me this story. I've been wondering, why am I here? And he was like, oh, we meant to hire. There was a different girl named Marissa who she had been a writer's assistant. I think she was a writer's assistant on Parks and Rec. And
Oh
one of the
my
writers had worked
gosh.
with her before. She was very experienced, very good, very talented. And then you showed up and you didn't know what you were doing, but we all felt so bad. And you were so nice and funny. And they were kind of encouraging. They were like, if you have an idea, say it. And I kind of like would throw some stuff out there. And so they kind of liked me, having me around.
Well, how could they not?
How could they not? I mean, someone's paying $8 a month to hear this jibber jabber.
Yeah.
So that was the story of how I ended up there. And then through that, this poor other Marissa, God
That
bless
poor
her,
other Marissa. I'd love to see her now. She's all
under a bridge eating
poor
your old
and
shrimp.
destitute.
Through
6
that
kids.
through that job, I got a job as a staff writer on another show, which kind of then you get, then you're just off to the races. Then you have your agents and you're working in TV. So I did that up until I was pregnant with my first child. So that was almost 7 years ago. That was the last time I was in a writer's
been a
room.
long time.
And that's when I retired from writing. I mean, I'm joking, but no, I don't have any agents now. I don't do any of that now. I'm just a stay-at-home mom and a professional
Don't you say
podcaster.
just. Don't you say just.
You know what? You're right. I am a stay-at-home mom.
And just a podcaster.
And just a podcaster.
So that's why I got confused. I had always associated that whole story with
Oh, yeah.
Angie Tribeca.
Yeah, that was the show I worked on the longest. So if anybody listening is familiar with that show, it didn't get a ton of attention, but it was on TBS. And I think it was very funny.
So funny.
It's very strange.
It was
very
very like,
weird.
if you like comedy like Airplane, it was very much that kind of humor, but it was just brilliantly funny.
Oh, thank you.
But I just thought that was so, again, it's one of those things where you're like, how did this happen? Because it was a mistake, but
Yeah.
you just make it work.
When
I
I
fake
was
it.
like working as a writer and kind of like sharing that stuff that I was doing on social media, like sometimes people would reach out to me, like people who would just like look up my name in the credits, or people who I like went to high school with. They would say like, how do I get started in writing? I'm like, get mistaken for someone else and just told to show up and then do a bad job, but be so charming that they don't want to fire you. They're too embarrassed.
Tell them your name is Marissa. I
Yeah.
mean, they kind of couldn't, because then the guy who like hired you looks like an idiot for not being able to like decipher 2 Marissas.
They must have just said like, oh, that Marissa from UCB. And then
my
like my name auto-filled on Gmail.
That is just
God bless it.
so good.
It's
Such
a
good story.
town where dreams come true.
Yeah.
All roads lead back to doing a podcast for free. This is still, honestly, I will say, this is my favorite thing I've done. Of all my writing work, everything, like this is my favorite thing I've done doing the podcast.
I would say this is definitely probably my favorite, or one of my favorite things too. We talk about this all the time. It's like we used to do improv all the time, and like you would wake up on the morning of an improv show and be like, oh, I got to do an improv show tonight. You
Diarrhea
kind of
City,
dread it all
terrible,
day
yeah.
because you don't know how it's going to go. And this is kind of like what we're doing right now. We probably are taking all those like things we learned in improv
Sure.
and placing them here. But
Yeah.
I love doing the pod.
Well, that was a good story time to get started.
Yeah, so there's a little bit about us. I think before, how are we on time? 45 minutes. So we're 45 minutes in. So we could do a couple of things here.
Oh, fun.
I have a rant. I have 2 rants. I would
Okay.
only do one. We could do a rant. I also have a collab. I think we should do the collab because it's so stupid, and this will show you how long we've been talking about this. We're
Okay.
like, hey, if we do off-brand, we'll like, if there's a fun collab to do, we'll do it. When we said that, the hottest thing in the world was the Oreo Coca-Cola collab.
Oh my God.
And we're like, let's do that. That's now 4 months ago. I've had these things the entire time. So
Jeez
why don't we do
Louise.
the collab?
Okay.
And maybe I'll rant while we're giving our thoughts on this.
Sure. Live bag.
Live
Don't cut
bag,
this out, Al. This is
cold
good stuff.
sodas. Here, I'm letting you guys share one because I'm not going to waste a whole one on Al because he'll have one little sip. So if you don't know this collab, this is Coca-Cola or everyone's like, yeah, John, Doughboys have done it. Everyone's done it. But there's someone out there that doesn't know what it is. Coca-Cola and Oreo did a collab. They made Oreo flavored Coca-Cola Zero, and they made Coca-Cola flavored Oreos that have...
Why is it diet?
I don't know. It only came out in zero sugar.
That is so weird. It's like you think the people who are so excited about an Oreo Coca-Cola collab want diet soda.
I know. Here, let me have that open can. Then I don't even have to waste this one. I gotta say, just from a branding point of view, I love the look of the Coca-Cola. I love the black can. I love that they're playing around. There's just a little bit of, they've done the logo in black and white, a little splash of red. I think it's beautiful. So
Have you had this before?
I haven't.
Okay, live taste test.
Raw dog. This
We're raw
show's
dog.
about raw dogging.
The smell right off the bat, you're getting a little hit of cream soda.
Smells exactly like Coca-Cola to me. Oh my God. I did taste Oreo in that first palate hit.
I'm definitely getting some Oreo. It's hard with diet soda because to me that the diet soda flavor is so overpowering. I'd kill to have this just in a full sugar variant.
I think I'm so used to diet soda. Like if you just let it wash over your tongue, I'm definitely getting the Oreo.
Yes,
notes.
I get it too. And then maybe that's is it chocolate like, or is it just cream soda kind of flavor? Like
It's
kind of a
different
diet
than
Coke.
cream soda.
Yeah, there's definitely something interesting in there. Are people excited about this? Was this like pulled from the shelves
I
after
mean,
like 1 month?
I think they're on clearance shelves now. It's been around so long. I don't think anyone cares anymore. All right. You can cut some of this. Okay. So now we
Now we're
have the
talking.
Oreos. Alistair will probably just smell one. Now, these do have popping rocks in them to give you the sensation of carbonation.
Okay.
I will say that I've had Oreo's 4th of July Oreo that also has popping rocks in it, and they get lost in that, like,
In the
fat.
cream?
It's like they need to hit the wetness to pop.
They need to. They can't be encapsulated in cream.
It's like you need to hit the wetness to pop.
I can't be encapsulated in cream.
You can't have that much cream. You got to hit the wetness.
I gotta say, I find this red cookie a little unsettling. The bake on it looks a little, I don't know, looks a little different.
Babe, who's talking about the Oreo bake? All Oreos are baked the
Wow.
same. No, I for our listeners, I wouldn't chew in the mic.
I mean, like, what flavor is cola? Because I'm definitely getting cola. You know, like a cola gummy bear, a cola Haribo, that like cola flavor.
I hate cola gummies.
So, are you getting that cola flavor in this? I am.
Yeah, I'm more on board with the Coke than the cookie, I think. And I did not get a pop, not a pop.
I also haven't gotten a single pop. Al, did you get a single pop? No
I'm
pops.
gonna
That was a waste of pop rocks.
I'm going to strip it and lick the cream
Oh, Jesus.
so you could try to get a pop.
I don't find this offensive, but I would probably just prefer a regular Oreo. But I don't know if somebody gave that to you and didn't tell you what it was, I feel like I'd be so confused. I'd be like, these Oreos are weird.
Okay, so I took a glob of cream, sucked all the cream off, was left with the rocks, and they did not pop. Hashtag fail. Then again, these are 4 months old.
What has soda in it? Is it the cream or the cookie? What is like the flavor in? Do you think it's in the cream or the cookie?
I don't know.
Wow.
It's leaving a real waxy taste on my tongue.
The texture of the red one, if you eat the red cookie in isolation, it's different.
It does.
It has a different snap.
Is it extra hard? One of them seemed extra hard.
The red one is extra hard.
like David.
And not very sweet. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I'd go back for any more of those. That's the thing about Oreos. If you eat one Oreo, you're like, that's not enough. I need a full middle finger to thumb of those, like 6, to feel satisfied. I've never in my life quit on an Oreo halfway through, and I'm quitting on this one. That's a bummer.
I've quit on some of the cookies if I'm making like a monster Oreo. Like I've creamed them out and then...
How many things of cream do you do again in your monsters?
Whatever I'm in the mood for.
But what's like your maximum you've ever done?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 3, 4.
3 doubles?
Or megas.
4 megas?
You never know. It's like whatever strikes you.
That's like an octagon Oreo.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to pull up shy on that one. But a standard Oreo with the standard filling, I've never not been able to eat a whole Oreo. That's like crazy.
I will say with Oreos, they're one of those brands that have become very notorious for coming out with a bunch of different flavors every year.
The Oreo aisle, if you took a time traveler from 1970 and took them to the Oreo aisle, that would shock them more than anything.
They would think there's an entire grocery store just for Oreos.
Just for Oreos. Bring a grandma to the Oreo aisle and she'll fall over dead.
And what's crazy now, when an Oreo finally makes it to like canon status, when they're now in the main lineup, then it goes through several incarnations too, because then it gets double stuffed, it gets dipped in fudge, it gets thinned. Like you can have so many variations of every flavor. There's a few now that have like, I love, like usually with all these things, the first is the best. I do think the first, with the lack of cream. A double stuff to me is probably the ideal Oreo.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy a golden and now a lemon. But most of the radical flavors, like I went and got red velvet because I thought red velvet would be so good. Nah, not that great. I don't need a s'mores. I don't need all the other.
We're coming up on peep season. Peep Oreos.
I'm sure there's a peep Oreo. I think I've seen peep Oreos.
We could probably have a segment that's just called like Oreo.
So you're a writer. It's been 7 years. We'll just call this segment Oreo.
That was the mom who thought of that, not the writer. That was the mom talking.
They're like, yeah, she's nice, but listen, we've got to let her go. Did you hear what she called that segment?
Her pitch for the Oreo taste testing segment was Oreo. I think I thought that the or in Oreo would be like Oreo. Okay, this is what it is. It's Oreo or Oreo. Yes.
Okay, she's back. She's back. Hire her back. Did she leave? She's still in the parking lot. Go get her. All right, so let's end. That was kind of a dull way to end. Let's end on a quick rant. Here's my rant for the week. Went to Popeyes this weekend because they had a coupon.
A
coupon I didn't need, but I'll use it.
Well, this is how you decide what to eat?
Not always, but sometimes. 2 of their chicky sandwiches for $8.
Okay.
I was going to order one as intended with sauce and pickle, one plain. I could wrap it up, have it later or tomorrow.
Okay.
It would not let me order it in the app. No matter what I did, it would give me like a sad chicken and be like, uh-oh, something went wrong, try later, blah, blah. Couldn't do it. So I
what the cluck? Problems on our end. They probably have what the cluck with like a chicken like
with squiggly eyes. She's back, guys.
I'm back.
She has a book. She's
Get me in there. Get me in there.
Shows. So I was close to the Popeye, so I just went there and I was like, "Hey, like I can't get your app to work." And of course, coupon. You could only use it in the app. Only.
Oh yeah.
And the guy, of course, is like, "I don't know. You got to talk to the manager when he gets back." When he gets back.
He's on vacation.
He'll be back Thursday. I didn't know what that meant, so I just stood there. 5 minutes later, the manager, like, comes, like, he's, like, in the little cook window.
When fast food managers see you, are they just like, oh, fuck? Like, can they tell when they see you, like, tapping your toe in the dining room?
I'm not caring about it.
I know, but then can they, if somebody says, like, oh, there's this guy, he's waiting to talk to you, and they see you surveying the ice situation, scowling, looking at the kiosk.
Wearing a white glove, running over the top of the Coke machine to see how much dust there is.
They see you coming.
He ignores me. Like, I don't even know if the guy told him that I needed help, but he, like, whatever. So then the guy I talked to finally like, hey, this guy had a question about the app. Like, So then I asked the guy, here's what the manager had no answer. He's like, I don't know. Here's the rant. I hate it when it seems like someone that works at a brick and mortar store
Yes.
is happy
Yes.
to not be able to answer a question. When they're like, hey, that's the app, man. You got to call the app. Call the app. Who am I calling on the app? Like, but they are so happy that they don't have to help
They
me.
wanna
They're not like,
pass
oh
the
my
buck.
God, that
Yeah.
sucks. I know other people have had issues. Of course, I'm the manager. I can ring this up for $8 and give you the thing. Who cares? But instead, I left there chickenless, mad,
no.
sad. I was like, these were my thoughts sitting in the car. I was like, I'm going to write him a tersely worded Yelp. But then I was like, oh, I think my Yelp is glove box. And I don't want people to know that it was me. And then it's like, am I mad enough right now to make a second identity on Yelp so that I can just start being mean to people
All
that
your
have wronged
one-star
me?
reviews?
Yeah. I haven't, but I might.
I'm with you 100%. When the computer or the app fails and then the person working there, the physical human, is like defers.
Throw their hands up. They throw their hands up.
This happened, the Seinfeld thing happened when we were in Florida to get our rental car. We show up, no cars.
That's a whole Seinfeld episode.
I know. We reserved our car. We reserved it. And we were there with 10 other people who were like, where are our cars? They're like, oh, sorry, we don't have any cars available. It's like, we made the reservation. That's the point.
I haven't heard this story. I didn't know that.
Ooh,
happened.
it was rough. And so we had to and they had like one like tiny little car. They were like, you can use this. It wasn't big enough like for all of our stuff. So we had to like cram in all the suitcases. We were able to swap it out later, but it was very much that thing of like, I'm sorry, the computer. It was like the computer. I mean, listen.
Call the app.
Call the app.
Call the app.
Call the app. Good luck.
All right. We'll end it on that.
You know what we could end it with?
What?
A product recommendation. Onion cheese pinwheels from Costco.
I think I'm over them already. My friend Liz brought me 2. They were so good. Then I told you about them. You went and bought a box. You gave me 2.
I ate 3 in 2 days.
I ate 1. I think I just didn't heat it enough. I think the middle center, there's kind of that glob of cheese in the very center.
Yeah.
And it's like, am I over these? But yes, they're good on the first round. So,
oh my gosh.
6-pack of, what are they called?
They're onion cheese pinwheels.
It's
I think
a
cream cheese is
croissant
in the middle.
pastry, basically, with cheese on the inside.
Cheese on the inside, cream cheese sprinkled in everything bagel seasoning.
Yeah.
They had them as a sample at Costco. John, he sent me a picture. He was like, these are good. I'm at Costco. I'm like, I'm at Costco. He's like, get me a chicken. I get him a chicken. I get a pack of those. And divine. They were sampling them. You heat them up in the microwave, fine. Ideally, oven, 400 degrees for 7 minutes, ideally, to really get that the flaky edges crisping up.
Yeah.
But boy, that's good. That rivals any bakery item you're gonna get. It's so good.
Yeah.
Unreal.
I do love anything croissanty once
Me
it's been toasted.
too.
And we'll end on this note from that exchange. So you got me the chickie and you gave me a couple of the things. So I Venmoed you some money. I forgot to do it the day of, so I did it like 4 days later. Marissa all of a sudden thinks she's so funny. She writes me on Venmo. She's like, did I sell? Because I put for what I gave you the money for, I just put a picture of a chicken. And you're like, did I sell you a chicken? And then she like gets in our group chat. She's like, what is this $9 for?
I could not remember.
I was like, because you bought me a chicken.
In one ear and out the other. Honestly, John, if I'm giving you a chicken, that's a gift.
Girl, I can't take your $5
This is very
chicken.
it's very 1800s, a time I wish to return to in all aspects besides civil rights and medicine. If I'm giving you a chicken, that's a gesture of
Just
good
enjoy
faith.
it.
Just enjoy it.
Just peel that skin off and enjoy it. And that is our first episode.
And that is off-brand.
That is off-brand.
We went a little off-brand. We were lightly on-brand, and it was nice to be able to fill anybody in. If anyone was curious about our backstories, how we got to be here, where we are today,
it's
that's
our origin story. Now we don't have to revisit this again, but we do want to answer. At least I do. I want to answer your questions. So please keep sending us questions. Another thing that a couple people have sent us, and I couldn't find one before today. Send us your Mary Fucker Kills with brands or actors or stores, because I freaking love those. Or Would You Rathers, if you have any good ones of those. Just send us anything, and we'll talk about them.
Those are very fun. We'll get the hotline should be up by the time this episode is live, so we will get that out to you guys. And yeah, if you have any thoughts on an episode we did previously, any stories about the brands that we cover on the main show, send us a message, and we'll respond, and we'll chat about it, and we'll read your note on the air. Are we Frasier on the air? Okay.
I'll be listening. Yeah, we really want you to get your $5, $8, or $187 worth. So This show is for you. Even though I have learned that we learn stuff about each other just doing it. Because you did not know I hated your cooking 12 years ago.
I did not know.
And now I'll hear that until I die.
I think I was using a lot of like nutritional yeast, like to avoid cheese.
Babe, we can't end on nutritional yeast. All right. Well, we don't even know how to like sign off. I don't have my tagline. Remember, we may go on brand, but we'll always be off brand. Oh boy. Bye.
Bye. The new NBA and MLB season is in full swing, and BetOnline has you covered with the best odds and biggest promotions and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
If you're looking to streamline your audio advertising buys and maximize your revenue, look no further than Triton Digital's programmatic audio advertising exchange, A2X. The private exchange consists of only licensed broadcasters and top-tier internet radio publishers, assuring the quality inventory and brand safety you can trust. Visit www.tritondigital.com to learn more.